Hey guys, it's Janice. I'd love to invite you to join me on my school community. That's SKOOL. Rebel Rising is a community of women who've been through it, are in it, and are ready to rise. So come join us for the weekly prompts, the private pods, and real support. Now, back to the show. On this episode of Media Rebel Unplugged.
But you need to kind of catch yourself when you feel that and start kind of asking yourself, is it really true? I mean, is it really realistic? Am I expecting too much of myself? Be compassionate.
What would you say are like your top tips for prioritizing our daily lives?
First of all, prioritization changes. That guilt can show up also in the workplace in a form of like, maybe I haven't done enough. Maybe I haven't given enough of myself to, whatever. If you're in leadership, maybe it's for your team, or maybe, my manager asked me to do that and I couldn't finish it. So you start feeling guilty.
Welcome to Media Rebel Unplugged. I'm Janice. Today we're talking about what women leaders don't say out loud about ambition, guilt, motherhood, and mental health. Joining me is Limor Bergman Gross, owner and executive leadership coach at LBG Consulting Services. She's a former director of engineering who helps high-performing women stop performing, reclaim their voice, and lead on their own terms. Limor, I'm so happy to have you on today. Welcome.
Thank you, Janice. I'm so happy to be here today.
Would you please introduce yourself and let us know what led you here?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Limor. So, first of all, I'm married. I'm a mother of 4. Yeah. And my career up until 6 years ago have been in tech. I worked in engineering. So I started my career as a software engineer and eventually grew into leadership roles. Moved countries. So I used to live in the US for 9 years and then we got back here. All of that while still raising kids. And 6 years ago, when we got back here in Israel, where I live right now, I decided that I wanted a change and I left everything I knew. I started a business. I didn't really know what the business is going to look like, but I knew that I wanted to support other women because of, how difficult it was for me. And I guess that's the motivation also for me to be here today, Janice, because I want more women to hear our stories, not just mine, yours and other women, that, it's not easy. You have children, you have life, and you have a lot of things going on, but you still can do all the things that you want to do. So
I love and appreciate that because that's why I started this platform, was to help open up that door for other women like yourself and myself to come on, tell our stories, so that other women out there who don't have that opportunity can hear and relate to and understand that they are not alone in this space.
Absolutely.
We talked briefly about how much I can identify with this. I think there's a lot of guilt that comes with trying to carry all these different titles that we as women carry. How do you yourself, and while you're coaching other women, help them go through that and address the guilt we have to deal with, so we don't feel guilty? Because I think that's a lie oftentimes that we tell ourselves.
Yeah. I don't think we can eliminate the guilt altogether, and it comes and goes. And as moms, we always have mom guilt. I can share. I always have this. Again, it goes and goes in waves. But what I tell my clients, and also like the self-talk I do, like if I want to be fully present for my family, for my children, for my husband, I need to be fulfilled. I need to take care of myself. And, for many years, Janice, especially when my kids were very young, I put myself last. I was juggling like crazy between work and home. I was commuting a lot. I was doing everything and I was depleted. And it affects us eventually when we take so much on ourselves and we put ourselves last, we get agitated. Sometimes we lose our temper. And it all happens because we don't take care of ourselves. So I always say, like, if you feel guilty, think about how are you going to be better as a mom, as a spouse, as an employee, if you are fulfilled, if you are taking care of yourself. So it's not a selfish thing to do. It's actually for the better good, not just of yourself, but for those around you.
Right. It's impossible to take care of other people if we ourselves are falling apart, whether it's by internalizing it too much and not structuring those boundaries for us to sit down and have our time, our self-care. And that's something that I know we often do speak about, is like, how do we create that space to focus on ourselves when we have so many demanding things coming our way, demanding work, demanding kids, demanding, husband. So how do we do that?
I will say it's not easy. I mean, especially when, so nowadays my kids are between the ages of almost 16, 19 and 22. I have twins. That's the kind of way. And when they were younger, it was definitely much more difficult. What I did, first of all, I hired a lot of help. And there's no shame of that. Hired someone to do the laundry. And we tried a living nanny. I didn't like it, but we tried different things, right? Nannies, some people that live in, but also those who just pick up the kids and, spend time with them. So I tried different things that really give me a little bit of free time to just relax, to do things for myself. And as the kids got older and more like, you don't have to like watch them constantly, right? I started taking more time to myself. And what helps is really scheduling things that you have to be there. Like, for example, I remember, there was a time that I started Pilates. And I was scheduling that on I was signing up for, it was classes that you had to sign up in advance. And if you don't come, you pay, right? Mm. You lose the money you paid. And it was kind of, accountability for me that, I actually sign up, so I have to go. And I organize everything around like my family, like, yeah, those are the days that they go. So sometimes, you have to force yourself to do those things and find a ways that helps you. Force yourself to take care of yourself. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but sometimes you need to do that.
Yeah, I even will say this to my daughter. I'm like, could you please take better care of my daughter? Because as a mom, I'm like, you need to eat better. You need to exercise more. You need to do your schoolwork so you can do better. And it's funny because, it's the same thing for ourselves. Maybe it's like we live by an example of like, okay, yeah, I need to take better care of myself in different areas to be a better example to my kids. Yeah. We all kind of struggle with that, especially when we're taking care of whether it's our employees and then our children and trying to balance that. I think that's oftentimes our biggest struggle.
Sure. And another thing is that you need to prioritize and compromise. Like, you cannot be perfect at everything, right? So compromise can look like, I don't know, maybe you buy some store-made food. You take some shortcuts, right? So one, I remember, we had pizza nights. We don't do that much because now I have more time and my kids also cook. So teach your kids to do the stuff too. Yeah. The older they get, just teach them, offload some stuff. But back when they were like very young, like dinner was like, oh my God, I have to cook dinner again. And I was like, okay, we'll do a pizza night. Yeah, it's not the healthiest thing, but at least, I know one night a week, I don't have to take care of dinner. And sometimes we did takeouts, like we did Indian food or whatever. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. Right.
Yeah, those little bitty things, they add up to being so important. Like you said, whether it's hiring somebody to do the drop off and pick up for your children, or just having those little windows where you can breathe a little bit more and take some pressure off of you, I think is very smart.
Definitely.
So where do you often see guilt show up for women in leadership aside from motherhood?
Where do I see what? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Guilt show up in leadership.
Well, we tend to be very self-criticizing as women. So guilt can show up also in the workplace in a form of like, oh, maybe I haven't done enough. Maybe I haven't given enough of myself to, whatever. If you're in leadership, maybe it's for your team, or maybe my manager asked me to do that and I couldn't finish it. So you start feeling guilty for not being able to accomplish. Like, I have a client that actually, she told me, Limor, I have to be more efficient. I feel like I'm not doing enough at work. And when we start kind of diving deep, we figure out she was trying to take so much on herself. So it's like, are the expectations you put on yourself realistic? And a lot of times, we set the bar so high And that's why we feel guilt, because we cannot meet the bar that we set. It's impossible for us to get there. And then we feel guilty that we haven't been able to accomplish everything that we set ourselves to do.
Did you ever see yourself doing that back when you were in your role?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. I wouldn't lie and say guilt goes away. It always comes and go. But you need to kind of catch yourself when you feel that and start kind of asking yourself, is it really true? I mean, is it really realistic? Am I expecting too much of myself? Be compassionate. I mean, this is something that I tell a lot of my clients to practice compassion, because our inner voice tends to be so critical, and we need to practice compassion as well.
Yes, that's a very valid point. Compassion to ourselves, especially. Yeah. And I think that's a perfect kind of segue into mental health and what that's like, for us as we're leading and as we're being mothers. And how does that look behind the scenes for women when they're handling it all, especially when they feel like they're handling it all alone?
Yeah. I would say that some of the symptoms that maybe, you're not in an ideal place is that when you're either very stressed out, or maybe you don't sleep well, you don't eat well, maybe you're even short-tempered. So there are some symptoms that can point to a fact that you are not taking care of yourself and you're trying to do too much. And when that happens, you need to figure out, okay, how can I take better care of myself? What can I maybe compromise? What can I remove from the list? Also, sometimes we take too much. We have to prioritize.
How do we prioritize? Because I feel like, again, if everything feels like the priority, that can be a struggle in itself.
Definitely. And that happens both in personal life and in the workplace, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is important. Everything is critical. So ask yourself, if you have too many things that I have to do everything, but you know that it's not possible for you and you're stressing out over it. So ask yourself, you can go one by one and say, okay, what's going to happen if I don't do that? And sometimes, you said, okay, actually the world is not going to stop if I don't do that. So I gave the meals example because I know that a lot of moms feel like, I have to prepare home cooked meals for my kids so they eat good, nutritious food. And I said, okay, what happens if I don't do that? I had a time, I didn't really like the food the cafeteria in the schools, right? Most of them, depending on the school district, don't offer very healthy alternatives. And I remember that for several years, I was really, really strict on, okay, I have to prepare all the meals for my kids. And that was taking a lot of energy from me. It was very draining. And at some point, I said, the hell with it. I'm just go buy food from the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And that was a compromise I took and say, you know what? What's going to happen if I don't cook? Yeah, they're going to eat some maybe things that are not the best for them. But that's what I have to do to keep myself sane.
Yes, that's a good point. And you're right. I mean, there are those things that we strive to be so perfect at, or we want the best for our kids. And then at the end of the day, it's like you're kind of sacrificing your well-being, just trying to keep up with it all. What would you say are your top tips for prioritizing our daily lives?
That's a tough one, right? I mean, first of all, you always have to, prioritization changes. That I would say. It changes because, life are very dynamic. And you can ask yourself every day, every week, every month, whatever the time frame for you, what are the most important things for me right now? What do I really need to spend my energy on? And it can be, sometimes you put more weight on work, right? Maybe you're starting a new job and you really need to be very focused and invest time in onboarding and making sure that you get up to speed quickly. So during that period of time, maybe you will deprioritize other things. So it could be that temporarily you will, spend less time with your kids. You will have to work harder. Sometimes it can be something else, like maybe you experience some challenges. One of your kids, maybe they have whatever challenges at school. Maybe they struggle with, it could be something, academic, or it could be friendships at school, whatever. So you say, okay, this time I really have to help my child. So I have to make sure I allocate time for that. So maybe during that time, I will have to compromise. So maybe I will work less. Maybe I will, I don't know, as I said, cooking. Maybe I will spend less time in the kitchen. It's you have to really keep asking yourself, like, what are the most important things for me right now? What I really have to put my focus on, and try to minimize that list. So it will not be more than 3 to 5 things even.
That makes total sense, because I feel like if you had a really long list, you would feel even more overwhelmed, and it'd be more difficult to prioritize those things. So do you normally coach people to maybe start, because like you said, every day our priorities, they change. Do you recommend that they start in the mornings of, okay, what are my top 3 priorities today? Or should they be doing that the night before in preparation for the next?
I think it's personal. Whatever, I like to do it in the morning, but if you like to have everything prepared the night before, do it the night before. I don't have I think you need to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, because I think that, again, if we look at the time that we have available to also sit and do those things, that can change as well. So there might be some evenings it's easier to do it than in the day. And I think just that helps with productivity if we can sit and set aside those top priorities.
Yeah. And I would say, you mentioned productivity. I would say the number one productivity killer, I feel, for me at least, is all the distractions and all the notifications. And our mind constantly, context switch between multiple things, right? Because we get all those notifications from our phone, in the computer. So if you see that you're not really spending the time efficiently, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And sometimes my husband is like, I sent you a text, why don't you respond? Well, I'm concentrating right now on something, and I don't look at my phone during that time. And I put the Do Not Disturb. So if something urgent comes, call me. We have this tendency. I mean, I don't know about you, Janice, but we're expected to be always on.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I paused this morning as I was getting ready, for our conversation, and I thought about that. I went, oh my goodness, it's like notification after notification and emails, and just, I'm like, I have to just turn this off. For my mental health, I need to turn it off, and I need to walk away. Like you said, either put it on Do Not Disturb, but even then I'm tempted to grab it and look at it. So just shut it off and just step away and do grounding work. So for me, that's, I put my feet on the floor and just spend some time with the deep breaths and name a few objects in the room to kind of get myself back, because my mental health is extremely important to me, as I suffer from PTSD. And so it can be even harder to prioritize my days and to not feel like every single alert is urgent on my phone.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is one of the biggest challenges nowadays. And it didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, 15 years ago, whatever. I mean, now that all the apps and notifications, just turn off all the notifications.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Turn them off, set some time aside for yourself. And they even say it's more healthy for us to do that, actually put on your calendar, 15 minutes a day on your calendar and say, okay, I'm going to dedicate that time aside from your usual lunch scheduling to have that refocus and relaxation time.
Yeah. And I would say every person have different times that are ideal for them to concentrate. So I like to allocate the mornings. So usually what I do, so I don't book meetings before 11 a.m. because I really like to have the morning times for myself. Either going to work out or just, sometimes I have to do some work that requires concentration. So once the house empty, everyone goes to school, to whatever, I can just concentrate. And those are the best hours for me. So find the best hours for you and block that time.
Thank you so much for being on today, because I feel like you've really brought some things up to limit the guilt and the self-criticizing that we're all so guilty of doing as women leaders and moms. Could you please tell the audience where they can learn more about you and connect with you?
Sure. So what I'm focused on right now is supporting women. So I do that by coaching. I do that by speaking. I host, ERG groups invite me, or I speak at companies. And I have my own podcast, From a Woman to a Leader. So I want to invite you all to check it out as well. I interview different leaders in tech. So check it out as well. And you can find me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with you.
Thank you for everybody listening today to Media Rebel Unplugged. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe or share it with someone, and we will see you next time.